Hey everybody, it's time for the Grumpy Guy Show. This is Derek talking about episode number 67, Don't Tell Me My Bible, recorded on October 10th, 2022. Tonight we talk about no regards for others, the pot calls the kettle black, and morality police. Stick around, it's a good episode. Good evening everybody, welcome to the Grumpy Guy Show. I'm Derek McAllister.
I'm Ryan McAllister.
So, we don't know how long it's going to be tonight for as far as the episode. We've got 4 topics in there, but they might be quick, they might be long, I don't know. Who knows? I think everybody knows the drill at this point. We start out saying this crap and we end up going really long.
We end up going for damn near an hour.
Yeah. But anyhow, let's get started. So, the first 2 topics, they're kind of related because they're based on a trip that we did this weekend. Went down to Watkins Glen State Park, and I've been wanting to go there for a while because it's supposed to be really beautiful. And trust me, folks, if you live in New York or you live close to the southern border of New York, it's well worth the trip there. Even if you're just coming in to go to a race at Watkins Glen road course there, whether it's NASCAR or whatever, it's really amazing place to go through and check out. I highly recommend that you park down at the base and take the shuttle to the top or go the other direction. But if you're going up, you might as well walk back down, because there are 834 or something like that steps. So I'm not going to go up that. The only thing is, if you're not going to take the shuttle, so it's $10 to park. The shuttle is $6 per person and cash only. So if you're not going to take the shuttle, once you get close to the top, you can avoid like 300 of those 800 steps by not going up what's called Jacob's Ladder. I mean, it's literally almost straight up at the very end, and you don't see anything along the way. So if you're going to go from the bottom, just walk up to there. Once you get to there, turn around and head back. There's large breaks in between any steps that are there, so except for Jacob's Ladder at the end, but there's large steps in between, so it's not going to kill you to walk to there and then go back. But my recommendation is spend the $6 per person to take the shuttle to the top and use gravity. But at any rate, so while we were sitting there waiting for the shuttle, we see this sign, and I saw it in a couple of places. No dogs allowed on the gorge walk. Okay, good idea. I mean, not many dogs are going to be able to handle 800 plus steps. That's a lot. But
probably couldn't, knowing how lazy she is.
Well, she's lazy because we're lazy. Normally a lab is very, very active, and we are not. So, it's probably not great for her, as far as her health and the normal practice, the normal life of a lab. It's not the greatest, but it is what it is. But so, the reason I bring this up as something to complain about is pretty darn simple. There were dogs all over the freaking place on that gorge walk. Doesn't matter if you're talking about, people carrying them because the dog got tired, because, they bring these little tiny dogs that have problems going up steps, period. Well, yeah, but they have problems going up steps, period. And you're expecting them to go up 800? Come on. We were going down and these people were going up, and they're carrying their dog, and somebody says something about how cute it is and everything. Now, the lady's got the dog stuffed inside of her shirt to carry it, right? And I'm like, okay, you're brilliant. First off, you ignored all of the signage that said no dogs on the gorge walk.
No dogs allowed.
Second, you're bringing this in. It's not like it was a puppy. No, this was an adult dog. You know, it might have been some kind of dachshund mix or something like that. I don't remember, but you know, it's something small like that. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's going to get tired. I mean, we were more than halfway down, which means they were less than halfway up, and this dog's already tired. There's a reason they say not to bring a dog on a freaking gorge walk. But let's go above and beyond that. And this kind of goes with our next topic, and I'm just going to mix them together because this is just really, really annoying. So, on this gorge walk, there are a lot of places where it is extremely narrow. If you've got a dog, guess what? That dog is going to get in the way of people. Mm-hmm. You know? And that also goes right to people getting in the way of people. There's these people. So we're stopped at this one place in, I don't know, Grumpy Ledge or something like that. I don't remember. You know, and there was a sign attached to the wall about it. And all these people decide, oh, we want to get our picture taken. And, of course, it's not a very wide area, so it's not like we can go around them while they're getting their picture taken underneath this stupid sign. No. We and 35 other people have to stop and wait for them to take their frickin' picture. And, of course, they're all giggling and laughing. Yeah, they're all giggling and laughing because, oh, hello, grumpy face. Oh. So the first picture isn't any good. So then, you know, oh, well, we got to do it again. Everybody's got to focus on being grumpy. Okay. So, like, 10 minutes. And I'm like, really? Come on, people. You want to do this in the middle of the week when nobody's there? Okay, but this is the weekend. There's a lot of people. You know, and it wasn't just that situation. You know, because I didn't count. I mean, it was a significant number. You know, going both directions. And these people are just sitting there, and finally I just said, well, I don't care. I've waited for a few minutes. You've had plenty of time to take a picture. It's not my problem. And I just walked. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know if they were done. I don't care if they were done. But, you know, it's just, people have so little consideration for others. It's not even funny. You know? And then, and like I said, it's not even just that situation. There's another situation where people are sitting there and they're like a narrow walkway. And I mean, when I say narrow, I mean you can pass somebody if you turn sideways. And there's other places where, because of the shape, yeah, the footpath is wide, but it's real narrow up at my head. So you can't go sideways. And I start walking through this one area, and this lady just comes walking like I'm in the way. And I'm like, I waited for you for a couple of minutes. You know, all right, maybe not a couple of minutes. I waited for 30 seconds, and she was standing there, and she stopped, turned around, and started talking to somebody else. So I said, okay, well, I'll start walking. So then she turns around and just starts walking and expects me to crouch down underneath the fucking ledge. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you, lady? And I even said, oh, geez, excuse me. And she kind of looked at me. I'm like, no consideration for anybody else. It's utterly ridiculous. You know, and I'm like, come on. And it's not like it's just one place. There are a lot of places like that. You know, they tried making this path so that it was the least intrusive on the environment as possible, yet still allowed people to safely travel. You know, so there's a lot of narrow places, and I get it. Totally understand. But you've got to start thinking of other people. You can't think of just yourself.
And that's what people do now.
Yeah.
That's what people generally do.
Yeah.
They can't think of others.
And, you know, this isn't like a really wide river, and it's not like a shallow gorge. You know, that 800, those 800 steps, especially that bunch at the end, the Jacob's Ladder, that is really steep. It's not, you know, because you get all the way up to that point, and you still have to go up another couple of hundred feet just to get up to the parking lot at the top. You know, and I mean, it's hard to explain, but there are places where the stream or river or whatever you want to call it that goes through there is literally only a foot wide. But it is dug a channel that is, you know, 100 feet below some of these bridges that are going through. And you got people thinking they're all cool and everything, hanging their feet over, you know, sitting on the edge of the bridge, hanging their feet over, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're brilliant. And when you fall because you slip, yeah, when you fall because you slip, or somebody accidentally slips and bumps you, you're going to be the first one crying that it's not safe. You know? But you'd also be the first one crying and... Well, you'd be the first one crying and complaining if they had to put a fence up because of idiots like you and you couldn't actually see the sights. You know? It's like, think, you morons. That's all you got to do is just think. It's not that difficult. No.
That's the problem.
No. They're too worried about being cool. You know, and I stopped at this one place to take a picture, and, you know, it was...
being cool is part of it, but it's also about getting liked.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's... Well, let me explain this next one.
Being cool and posting that crap on social media.
Yeah. But...
Crap on likes and being famous.
There was this one section where... Yeah. There was one section where, you know, there was a very steep drop and, you know, the wall going along the edge. And I stopped to take a picture because, you know, there was a waterfall there. And as I'm doing that, your mother comes over to me and points and says, oh, look. She points down at the top of the wall, and there's footprints going along. I'm like, real genius. You know, and what it is it's these people who are adrenaline junkies. I mean, that's all there is to it. They have to, you know, they want that high. Oh, look at me. I'm so cool. Oh, I'm dangerous. Look, I could slip and fall and really hurt myself over that edge. Yeah. Oh, I'm so, oh, you know, it's like.
If I'm lucky, I could die.
I don't know. You know, and the type of park that it is, there's not rangers walking around or anything like that. At least not that I saw. You know, so all of this crap happens. And it just continues to happen. And there's no enforcement. Just like the no dogs allowed. There's no enforcement of that policy. You know, if you're gonna post something there, something like that, you gotta enforce it. That's all there is to it. It has to be enforced, but they're not going to do it because, you know, cutbacks and all, and just it's insane.
There are a lot of things. There are a lot of rules that don't end up getting enforced.
Yeah, you know, and
I can confirm this as a college student.
Yeah, it goes well beyond just being a college student, you know.
As a college student who got to hang out with someone of authority in college a lot.
Yeah. But, I don't know.
He told me of all of the things that he constantly let slide.
Yeah. The problem there is, yes, he was in a position of authority, but he's also a college student, so. Exactly. Yeah, but, I don't know. I mean, the place is beautiful, but, seriously, I told your mother I'd like to go back again because it is just beautiful views, you know, especially if you're somebody who likes to see what water can do to rock. it's just amazing, you know, and you see layers of rock, and you see this beautiful gorge just go down, and it's just amazing. But when I go back, it's going to be in the middle of the week because I don't want to deal with that many people.
I mean, that's understandable.
You know,
People are flat out stupid.
yeah. And that's really what it comes down to, is they're just dumb. They ignore rules because the rules aren't enforced, you know, and somebody's going to get hurt, and I don't want to be standing there watching somebody who decides they're going to be cool and walk on the wall, or they're going to hang their feet over the side of a bridge. I don't want to be there and watch them fall to their death. Because simply put, you know, if they fall in there, more than likely they're going to end up dying. If they don't die from the fall, if somehow they survive that, by the time rescuers could get to them, they're going to be dead from their injuries. Simply put. You know, if they get lucky and they hit the wall 10 feet, you know, they hit the side of the gorge 10 feet after they fall over, okay, great. But now you got another 70 feet to fall. So you're going to be rolling down the rock, you're going to have multiple broken bones, and then you're going to do what? Well, you're going to get down there, you're going to land in the water and likely be unconscious. And if you're not conscious, you're going to start breathing. And if your head's in the water, guess what?
Drown.
You're going to drown. You know, I don't want to be there and see that. You know, part of the problem now too is, you know, it's college time. You know, kids are just in school, a lot of them freshmen, testing their boundaries because, you know, mom and dad aren't there to watch them anymore. And it's not that far from, you know, from some colleges, such as Cornell, Ithaca College, just to name a couple of big ones. It's not that far from there. So they're coming over, they're going through, they're doing that, you know, just for something to do because it's fairly cheap, and I don't know. You know, it's unfortunate, but that was the only bad experience about it. You know, with my camera alone, I took over 140 pictures. Very scenic pictures, very nice.
Every angle.
Yeah, you say that, but the pictures are, yeah, the pictures do not do the place justice. I can say that. Which is why I say that I will go back at some point and check it out again. But, at any rate, so, what do you say we move on to the next topic?
I say we do that.
All right.
That's what we got.
So next, we have Vladimir Putin saying that the Ukraine attack on the bridge going to Crimea is an act of terrorism. And I'm just sitting there thinking, so you're calling this
A war criminal?
yeah, you know, so here he is, he's calling this an act of terrorism when,
Like the pot calling the kettle black to me.
well, hold on a minute. So this bridge is a Russian military lifeline to get to the Crimean area of Ukraine. So it's not an act of terrorism, it's an act of war. Because by taking out that bridge, Ukraine has now made it so that the Russians can't continue to supply that.
They just can't get to Crimea.
Yeah. So,
At least as easily as they could have with the bridge.
yeah. But, you know, he obviously doesn't understand what an act of terrorism truly is. Because an act of terrorism is when you indiscriminately attack towns, villages, cities that have no military value. which
what the Russians have done.
is exactly what the Russians have done. In fact, I was watching the news, and they were saying that Putin actually admitted that he ordered the massive military strikes that went out this morning in the middle of rush hour against the capital city, where they obviously targeted not non-military locations. We're talking middle of the streets in the cities, unless their missiles are that inaccurate. But they also hit office buildings and residential apartment buildings. So unless they're just doing a shotgun type thing where they just say, oh, well, aim that way and fire.
Firing them off willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Let's just see what they hit.
Which, I mean, if the Russian military is as powerful as it's always claimed to be, and as advanced as it's always claimed to be, their missiles would not be fired like that. They would actually be targeted based on GPS or something along those lines, just like American military missiles are. You know? So are we seeing that the Russian technology just isn't nearly as far advanced as not only they stated, but that we thought it was? Or is it that he's just being a jackass? I think he's just being a jackass.
I think so too.
You know, but, I mean, just like you said, the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, seriously, what Ukraine did, they're defending their territory.
And they're doing a damn good job at it.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, some of it is that the Russian soldiers don't really believe in what they're fighting for, which drops morale drastically and makes it so that they don't want to be there. But
Ukrainians really want to defend their homeland.
Yeah, and
it really helps.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, he can't call it an act of terrorism. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's not an act of terrorism. It's an act of self-defense. Simply put, you're using a bridge that you constructed to get to our territory. Guess what? I'm taking it out. So now you can't get to our territory using that bridge. You don't like it? TFB. You know, he had the same thing when he said something similar when the Ukraine military fired missiles on a military base in Russian territory, not in territory that they took back, but actual Russian territory. You know, it's like, oh, they attacked on our soil. Well, yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't have crossed the border and attacked them after saying for 6 months that, no, we're not building up for an attack. I mean, seriously.
Oh, we're not going to invade. Proceed to invade.
Yeah, you know. You want to talk about an act of terrorism, look in the mirror, dummy. That's all there is to it. He's just got to look in the mirror and realize that, okay, yeah, I'm terrorizing this country for no good reason.
Next thing he's going to say is that the Ukrainian president's a dictator.
Yeah.
That's another thing where he's going to have to look in the mirror.
Yeah, well, it's...
How many elections in Russia has he rigged?
Yeah, well, he's won them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know that's the whole thing. I mean, part of the problem that there's always been in Russia is that, you know, somebody gets in power, they're in power until you have somebody who's got enough power, you know, with powerful spies and whatnot. You know, they're going to be in power forever because, you know, somebody can't take them out. I mean, look at the last guy that was actually starting to gain some traction with the Russian people. He and his family were poisoned. Wonder where that happened. How that happened. Gee, don't know.
If we were Russian, we wouldn't be able to be saying this right now.
Yeah, and I find it really, really funny that suddenly the West isn't seeing any more reports about all of these protests on Russia's military draft. You know, and I think that has to go. I think that goes right back to the fact that, you know, Russian media is going to cover it all up. They're going to prevent it from coming through. But
the war is popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Vietnam was popular.
Yeah, it's worse. But all right, so we got one more topic, and I really want to get to this one because I think this is pretty important. So the last topic that we have, it's about the morality police that you find in many Middle Eastern cultures. I can say that, don't worry. So basically, they call them morality police, but what they are is they're really religious police. You know, they're enforcing some particular thing within. I don't even know if it's the Arabic code, the Arabic religion, or what it is, but there's something about women can't display their faces, and you know they can only do so much. They can only display so much of it and whatnot. And what happened is this morality police, they arrested a young girl. I believe she was like 18 or 19, something like that. And they ended up killing her. And you know, there's been a huge backlash, and it's not just by women. You know, yes, there are a lot of women that are protesting, and they're putting their lives on the line by protesting, which has been shown by the fact that so many of them have been killed during their arrests during these protests. But what ends up happening is, because they are, you know, official police, it gets covered up. What they said on the news was, you know, that all of these women who've died during these protests have committed suicide. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't think so. If they did, it'd be because they strapped a bomb to themselves and ran into the center of a whole bunch of these morality police and blew themselves up. But that's not happening. You know, and I find it so annoying that people are like this in this day and age. You know, it just, anybody in the United States who feels that they are oppressed just needs to look at some of these other countries and see. I'm not saying that, you know, women's rights, you know, women have 100% of the rights of men in the United States, but it's not nearly as bad as it could be, you know. And don't get me wrong, there's still more to do, but yeah, but you know, you look over.
Plenty to do as far as men's issues go too.
Yeah, you know, but you look at places like the Middle East and now Afghanistan, and you look at how women are treated. I mean, when the United States was in Afghanistan, women could actually get an education. As soon as we left, no, they cannot get an education anymore. They are not allowed to go to school. Because the way that these countries look at it is, women are there to bear children. They are not there to be intelligent.
Yep, they're property of men.
Yes, they are property of men. Yep. And it's really, really sad. Because, you know, it takes both sexes to procreate.
What happens when fundamentalism in religion becomes powerful?
It's what happens when it becomes the law. And
when extremist religious people take power.
Yeah. And
it'd be the same way if evangelicals gained power in this country.
Yeah, it would.
If you think Roe v. Wade getting overturned was bad, then imagine if evangelicals were in power in this country.
Yeah.
Gay people would be... We wouldn't have a single gay person in this country. Even if we're running this country.
We would. It'd just be back to the situation it was 30, 40 years ago where they couldn't come out. They couldn't actually admit that they were gay. You know, you look back, I mean, through history, you look at a lot of things, and it's been well known that there's been gay people for a very, very, very long time in human history.
Very long.
You know, it's not like it's some new phenomenon. What's new about it is the fact that it's accepted. Mm-hmm. You know, you get people like your mother and I, where we say, "Hey, I don't care. You can go ahead and be gay as long as you're happy with it. Okay. You know, I'm not going to tell you who you can and can't love, or who you can and can't be with. You know. I mean, it's just it's ridiculous. But
invite me to the wedding.
Yeah.
Especially while you're still allowed to get married.
Yeah, because it could change. Yeah. Yeah, and that's...
Well, friends, the religious people.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, religion has... There truly is no separation of state and church in the United States, and, you know, we're starting to get back to it. Yeah. The biggest problem is people don't understand the Bible is stories. And not only is it just stories, but it's stories that were, generally speaking, stolen from much older civilizations than Europeans. A lot of the stories came from China, Mongolia. They were just stolen and changed, you know?
It was stolen from the entirety of Asia.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really sad. But, you know, so many people believe in it. I don't know. It's ridiculous. You know, they believe in what they want to believe in. You know, it's convenient for them to use the Bible, but then when you point out the fact that they're not following the teachings, the teachings of the Bible, your mother used to have a friend that was very big on religion, and, you know, your mother pointed out when this lady, she got divorced for the second time, and then before she actually got divorced, she had a boyfriend who she was sleeping with. Your mother said, you know that you're violating your Bible. Oh, don't tell me about my Bible. Okay. Well, yeah. Then she went and got a tattoo, and she said, "You do understand that in the Bible it says that you're not supposed to get tattoos, right? Because, you know, you were created in God's image, and now you're saying that God's image of you is not good enough, which totally violates the Bible and its teachings." Don't tell me my Bible. Okay. And you realize you're not supposed to wear polyester, right? It's just cotton. That's all you can wear, right? Don't tell me my Bible. That's the Old Testament. I don't follow that. I follow the New Testament. I'm like, okay. I don't care which one you follow. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. I mean, it's just...
Doesn't matter what you follow.
You know, and you know...
You're still screwing it up.
Yeah, and people don't think about it. I mean... You know, laws are there, and you break the law, and you've sinned. Well, you get all these people that drive 85 miles an hour in a 65 zone, and they just, I don't care. It's not against my religion. Actually, it is. But you know, what the hell do I know?
Well, it's against the laws of our country.
Yeah, but well. All right, folks. Sure you heard the music starting up.
And that means good night.
We'll see ya.